How's it going, everyone? This is Brian, and welcome back to the Tech Stack Playbook, your guide to apps, software, and tech, but in a fun way, I promise. So it's been a little bit, a couple weeks since I last made a YouTube vlog podcast, and it's for good reason. I've been super heads down with my startup, with my company. Really being a founder is like a 24/7, honestly, 25/8. Feels like a full-time job all the time. So there's been so much work over the past few weeks, but it's actually been very exciting, and I've been meaning to make more videos and more content because I've been having a lot of one-off conversations with folks, and a lot of people have been asking me just about like the tech scene and just startup life and how that's all been, and it was actually kind of exciting. And I think when you're building a company, there's so many things that can happen just within the span of 24 hours. I kind of, at least over the past week, I feel like I've experienced literally every single emotion from like left to right across the spectrum. So yeah, I've just kind of been going through startup motions, all the motions and everything. But I'd say when you're doing a lot, there's a lot of things that might happen that you don't necessarily have time to process. I don't know if you relate to this. Even working in like a very, high-powered industry, you might just have a lot on your plate, a lot of responsibility all the time, and then you don't really, just process, the great work that you might be doing, or just the depth and the breadth that you might be going to do all of your work. And it still kind of hasn't really processed with me, but I had an amazing opportunity with my company to get in front of a billionaire. So I actually got to pitch Tim Draper virtually on Zoom. And if you don't know Tim Draper, you probably should. He is a really big name in the Silicon Valley venture capital space. I'm actually looking at an article on Business Insider, and he was an early investor in Twitter, in Skype. He, if you know him, he needs no introduction, but just listing off really, his whole list of companies. It's Skype, it's Twitter, it's Ring. He's also been very into decentralization, blockchain technology, cryptocurrencies, and he's just a really big thought leader of technology. Really not the technology now, the technology that's in the future. He sort of has this fortune teller persona of how he can predict, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30 years into the future. And that's really how he really has made all of his successes, it's, in my opinion. And it was actually so inspiring, and I was just so honored to even be in the same room. I mean, virtually because of COVID, but just to be able to talk virtually to him. We had 3-minute, I'll get into kind of the opportunity, but I just want to preface this with how I learned about Tim Draper 2 years ago. So when I first got into venture capital back in my VC days, my fund told me, they're like, oh, you have to follow Tim Draper, biggest thought leader in the blockchain space, huge proponent of this technology, everything he says, it's gold. You gotta listen to him. So I was listening to, YouTube videos that he was on. I think there was a recent episode that I'll probably drop either in the description or I'll try to post it in the video. But a Silicon Valley girl, she made an interview with Tim Draper, and she has this whole story of how she went out to London to try to pitch her startup to him, and then she wasn't actually able to, but then she ended up meeting up with him at one of his events, I believe, and just sat down with him for an hour and was just talking to him about technology, investment, being a VC, really what he sees as the future of technology. And it's amazing and inspiring how accessible he makes himself to the industry, and he's a real practitioner of technology. He's not just, I'd say, he's a thought leader, but he has a real in-depth knowledge of the technology as well. So, he surrounds himself with really excellent people, and, he's able to provide such great intel because he's really, on the ground floor, talking to so many companies, really seeing the technology and the evolution in the space. And yeah, it's just it's just incredible. I just like, I still haven't really processed it, but yeah, it was just kind of wild. So to kind of go back a bit, so my company was in sort of a boot camp accelerator type program, and each over 6 weeks we had to like submit an update, and it was actually amazing. So GSV created this whole program to help educate really entrepreneurs, maybe first-time founders, about what you need to know to build a company. So that could be business plans, that could be mindset of a founder, that could be how to get sales, that could be how to build an MVP, all of the tangibles that it takes to kind of bootstrap or scale an early venture. And the program was amazing. I learned so much. It was actually a really, really, really fantastic session towards the end of it. It was the Entrepreneurs of Color software future of work. They had different industry verticals, so I believe this was specifically for future of work. But it was amazing. It had Mac Conwell, so Mac the VC on Twitter. It had Lolita Taub. It had just amazing just thought leaders of entrepreneurship and technology. And it was just, I was taking so many notes from all of these sessions and all of these people. Michael Moe is the one who organized all of these sessions and brought us in. And I had spoken quite a lot to Renee. She was actually really helpful during the whole session, and sort of helping be a sounding board for the development of my Airblock pitch for my startup. And yeah, so we had you had to do basically these homework assignments every week, and then you had to like submit something. It was like a Google form, and then if you did all 6 weeks, then you got invited to demo day. So you got to pitch. I believe it was around a 2 to 3 minute pitch. It might have actually been sooner. It was a little bit of a blur the past week and a half, but it was a very short pitch, and you kind of had to like go through your slides really quickly and present something. And, of course, like I had already had a lot of prep from Founder Institute, which was another accelerator that we had just graduated from this month. So that was really exciting. So I had already had a good idea of the Airblock pitch and how I was going to deliver it. But, I really wanted to refine it a lot more. And we actually had a working session right before the demo day, organized by one of the boot campers. So shout out to Jenny if you're watching this. She was the one who organized it, and it was just really helpful to like, build off of other people and, really just learn. And I actually changed quite a bit of our pitch deck, made it less text heavy and more image focused, so more visuals, and then that allowed me to do more storytelling. So I think that was a really positive influence on the pitch. So we went into demo day and gave my pitch, and then I found out that we were invited to basically be a part of, I want to say around like 20 startups to get in front of Tim Draper. And I had kind of known that this was like potential, like if we were selected. But of course, like when you go through these things, you never think that you're going to be the one to be selected. You're like, oh, there's so many other people that are better than me, and it's better luck next time. But we were actually invited, and I kind of read that, and I emailed my co-founder like immediately, and I was like, oh my gosh, we're talking to Tim Draper. We're talking to Tim Draper tomorrow. So I kind of was just like prepping literally that whole day. In and around like answering emails and attending, meetings and, all of the businessy things. But I was really prepping as soon as I got that email until that next 24 hours, because it's when you have like an opportunity to, get in front of a billionaire, you definitely do not want to squander that. So I was really just prepping, going through it. I think I went through the pitch at least like 30 times, making sure that it was, airtight. I really knew what I was talking about. I really knew the value proposition of my company, and really the mission and vision of what we want to do and how we want to scale this. So that was really what I was doing for 24 hours going into the pitch. Of course, getting sleep, and eating healthy and all the right things. But other than that, I was really laser focused. And then the Zoom time came, and they did like a session right before it to kind of help make sure that everyone's Zoom was working and audio was good, and kind of go through the motions. And then I kind of was doing like a pitch session and a pitch critique with my co-founder, because she and I were actually doing concurrent pitches. So yeah, we actually flipped the coin for who was going to do which pitch. So I picked tails for the first one. So that was where it was Tim Draper, one, and then my co-founder was going to do the pitch night. So that was where we kind of split up and, kind of let fate decide like where our cards lie to a degree. Although I'd say fate does not determine 99% of the decisions. This was just one where we kind of were like, who wants to do what? So, flip a coin, pretty fair. But yeah, so I had that opportunity. And then she and I were just really working on the pitch, fine-tuning it, really minutes right up until the session. So then we jump on the session, and it's some of Tim Draper's team, but he's not there. And then it's sort of like, oh, like, is he gonna attend? Like, I know he's really busy. Then we found that he was in Hawaii, so we're like, oh, okay, that makes sense. Like, he's probably not gonna be able to attend, and like, oh, it's gonna be such a bummer, because you like get up in this mind, you're like, oh, I'm gonna like pitch to Tim Draper, and then it's like, where is he? And then right before the first pitch goes, he is able to jump on the Zoom, and then I was like, oh wow, because I don't want to be like the stakes were like I was less anxious at that point, because then it's like, okay, like, Tim's not in the room. But now that he is in the room, now I'm thinking, wow, okay, I really do have to bring my A game here. So, and of course, like, all the other amazing startups really brought their A game. It was very, like, inspiring to be around so many great entrepreneurs and visionaries and really just strategists, builders. I love being around other people that are, solving problems and solving challenges, because it inspires me and it kind of shows you what's possible and what's out there. I think a lot of what is important with entrepreneurship is surrounding yourself with like winners. That's one of my my company's advisors. He always talks about like, be around winners, like make sure that you win. You gotta like get and make every opportunity count. And I'm sure they'll probably be watching, so they'll know that I'm talking about them. But they always talk about that, of make sure that every opportunity you leverage that, and you take every opportunity that you can and make a difference with it. So that was really helpful, kind of as a mindset to go into this pitch. So we really get like 3 minutes. And that's kind of even a lot for, someone like a billionaire, right? So, they all go, and, we were in the middle of the pack. So, not first, not last. And I always think it's good to kind of be in the middle, because you can kind of see like how other people are doing before you go. I think if you're the first to go, that's obviously the hardest. But sometimes it can work out, because then, you make a good first impression, and then that really sets the tone for the future sessions to go. But we were, right in the middle, which was great. And, I gave my 3-minute Airblock pitch. I thought it went really well. Tim actually said it was a great pitch, so take that as a win. But it was a kind of a level up to me, because even going back a bit, I remember when we were trying to like get in front of, these types of people, or have these opportunities come up kind of like 6 or 7, maybe 8 months ago, that wasn't happening. So it was kind of, gratifying in a sense to see that all of this hard work, you might be working like 12, 14, 15-hour days, to know that, okay, like we're getting somewhere, we're getting in front of the right people, we're surrounding ourselves with winners, with people that are, have that higher level purpose, that they want to level up and they want to be bigger and better. So that was just, I'd say, really gratifying to see that, we're making the right moves, and we're getting put in the right audiences. And my whole thing too, kind of in my own MO, I always think about getting yourself in the room, and that kind of goes back to the people that I've listened to over the past few years. But even like with like Gary Vee, like he always talks about, when you have an opportunity, like get in the room, get in the door, make that call, try to get that person to talk to you. Because once you're talking, you build rapport. And then once you build rapport, that kind of sets the tone for, your dealings, whether it's business or personal in the future. So it can only be good things, right? Well, if you do well, then it can only mean good things. So, in a good light, ideally you want to, make that good first impression, because that's so important. And yeah, so I gave my pitch, and that was kind of, I was like, whoa. And I was kind of like keeping track of the time to make sure that I didn't go over the time. But it was kind of like a rush. And then I kind of felt my heart beating. I really felt my heart beating during that, because it's, you want to make sure that, you don't like mess up or say the wrong thing, or, you want to sound confident and assured. So you're trying to do all of the speech, diction, syntaxy things that, make a pitch sound good, and, bringing in confidence and self-assurance. So, you try to do all those things, but I was processing so many things so quickly, and it was just kind of like, whoa, like that just happened. And it was wild. And then, he said that it was a great pitch. So, I'll take that for what it's worth. And really what that meant for me too was just the validation that what we're doing and what we're building has merit and it has value. Sometimes when you're a founder, you can sort of think like, am I doing the right things? Am I crazy to be working on this? Like, does this make sense? And even in business, like you might work on a project and you're like, are we doing the right thing? Like, is this the right thing? So there's different scales of it, but even for a founder, like when you're going all in on a specific project or a specific, platform, you really are like, I'm staking, my flag in the sand that this is what I want to build and what I want to do. So again, just having that validation that we were even able to be invited into that room was really, meaningful, at least to me. And of course, just knowing Tim for the past couple of years, just following, his videos and interviews, chance of a lifetime for sure. And I wanted to share just some of the lessons that I had learned coming out of that session, because they might be helpful for anyone who is interested in founding a company. A little bit with the Tech Stack Playbook, definitely focusing this on tech, but I also want to channel this a little bit to founders and people that are building companies, because a lot of with the Tech Stack Playbook, there's different stacks to building a business, as well as there are for building software applications. So it's kind of a good fit for the channel, and I think it'll help a lot of people to kind of hear those insights. And that's kind of what I want to do with really just democratize access to information, because it's important to bring other people into the room and to up-level other people as well. So that's something that I'm very cognizant of and want to make sure that my channel is, consistently doing, such as videos like this. So really what he shared at the end was quite a lot. I have all of these on in an email that I sent to myself for my notes, but it was kind of wild hearing, what does a billionaire think about really early stage startups. And the first one that he talked about, just in terms of advice, was distribution. So making sure that you're getting out in front of your audience and getting in front of people that could, buy from you, people that could partner with you, people that could align with you. That's something that is really important for really any business, but especially an early stage company, because your partners are everything. Especially like my company's partners mean so much to me, because they help to bring us into the room, to connect us with opportunities that we might not know about, maybe lead to potential sales that we might not have been able to make otherwise. So just in terms of distribution, definitely really important for any company. He also talked about like making your companies your sales force. So, using sort of your clientele, the people that you are selling to or the people that you're working with, how can they buy from you, but then how also could they be, a proponent of your company? So you could turn them into brand champions. As a brand strategist, this is always something that comes to my mind with influencers and with, making case studies and really getting, winning words from companies, because I was actually talking to one of my advisors the other day, and they talked about when you buy from Amazon. It's a great example. So are you going to buy from the product that no one has any reviews for, doesn't have any stars, or are you going to go for the one that has a lot of reviews and a lot of people are talking about it? Now, when you're starting out, it's really hard to get those, testimonials and those winning, words that we all, want to hear. So sometimes you have to be creative with getting those case studies. But once you can make your customers those brand champions, and this is what I work on with clients as well, is that's really then your marketing funnel, because then you can, loop in other people to show, hey, you're just like this company, or you're just like this entrepreneur, and they were struggling with this, and then we helped them accomplish these goals. So that's really where your customers can be really valuable. The next thing that he talked about was making sure your business isn't just unique, but think how the business can really happen. I think there's a lot of ideation that can happen with a startup, which is good, but it was interesting that he sort of took that practical stance of saying that you have to make sure that the business can be tangible, that it can be real, not something that, I think sort of like with quantum right now, there's I think IBM and Microsoft are the two leaders, and Google as well. They're the ones that are really driving it, and as well as AWS. They're all really driving quantum, but for maybe a small early stage startup, quantum might be really inaccessible. So it's sort of, are you able to really bring this idea to life? And that's something that it kind of brings in the practical essence. So you kind of have to balance that of the mission and vision of here's where I want to be, with practical plans, like right now this is what we want to scale to and what we can do right now and where we want to grow to. Next one, nail your business plan. This is something we get asked quite a lot, just in pitches and investor meetings, meetings with strategic partners. They all want to know really, how are you making money? What is the business model? What's the idea here? How are you going to scale? These are the questions that are really should be important to everyone that's involved in the business, and investors are no different. They want to know, how can you take your product, how can you build it up, how can you make it better, how can you really level up? And that's where the business plan really comes in handy. So it's kind of your cheat sheet to be able to show and tell really your plan for how you want to scale and grow your business. The next one that he talked about was, what's the real problem you care about and how would you solve it? What is the product/service that can solve this, and how can you make money? How can you surprise and delight your customers? This was, kind of a big one, because it's, when you think about the pain of the industry, or the pain that a customer might be going through, how can you help them? That's really what you are paid to do. You're paid to solve a problem. And Elon Musk talks about this, but you're paid in proportion to the problems that you solve. So, if this problem is a really big problem, then, you're going to be paid in proportion to really how you can solve that. So really, that's where, with your product and your service, that's what you're going to be using to solve this problem. And it's not a static thing. It'll always be changing. It'll always be evolving. It'll always be leveling up. There was a great quote that I was reading about Facebook, and Mark Zuckerberg talked about how at any given time there might be 10,000 different versions of Facebook that are live. So that's important, because you want to be testing and building all the time, and that really allows you to understand what resonates with your audience, what resonates with your key clientele and your clients. So it's really important to be knowing the real pain that you're solving, and is the product really effectively doing that? Then another point of advice that he talked about was how until you've pitched 25 VCs, you haven't pitched your business. You have to watch their faces and see opportunity in their eyes. And this is important because especially in COVID and remote settings, it's even more important to, kind of maybe even going into Zoom and seeing how people are talking, maybe entering gallery mode and seeing the different types of people and how they react. I know I've been on pitch sessions and I've done that, and that's been helpful to really see, what's the sentiment in the room, not just of the person that's speaking, but also around people. It's so much easier to see that when there's a lot of people that are in a room, but of course in COVID and a pandemic, it's so much harder to do that. So you have to get creative of how you're, really, monitoring and seeing what people are thinking and how they're expressing what you're talking about. So you really have to just talk and pitch and talk to people. So whether those are VCs or angel investors or, potential customers or strategic partners, or, really just your current customers, you want to make sure that, you're talking to them regularly and you're getting that feedback, because then that can inform how you talk about your product or your company. And then another point that he had was, this was more of a question, but he said, can anyone do what you're doing, or is it just you? That's really interesting, because I often think about this of IP, and I sort of think that there's two different versions of IP. There's the IP of the technology, and then there's the IP of the founders, or the founding team. So in a sense, Elon Musk, for example, he's someone where, like, if you brought him on your team, that your team is going to crush it, because he gets everyone in line. He's done this before, built and sold PayPal, Tesla, SpaceX, say no more. He's everywhere, huge influencer, huge tech thought leader. He knows the industry, and he knows so much about technology in so many different fields. So in a sense, he'll be able to work with a team and build IP, but I also consider him to be the IP. So a lot of what I'm constantly thinking about is, how can I level up my skills and how can I level up my business? So, while we're building this technology, how can I make myself an asset going forward for my business? So it's not just the technology of the company, but it's also the people that are around it. And this is why I really spend my evenings doing boot camps, like coding boot camps, and going through coursework and really learning and leveling up, because I think that, and I've been coached from some of my friends and some of my mentors, that you just have to keep building with technology and building projects and going through programs and courses, and really just making sure that you are getting the skills that you need to continue to evolve. I'm a big fan of Treehouse, and I'm actually an affiliate, so I'll drop a link down below. And I think you get a free month if you sign up. So quick plug to Treehouse. I'm a big fan of their platform. So I really use a lot of that. They have just different programs and different courses, but there's also Codecademy. There's Udacity, which I took. I did their blockchain developer nano degree. That was a quite difficult one, but it's going through different programs can be really helpful, and giving you so much perspective that you might not have otherwise. And of course you can get like YouTube content and blogs, and those are helpful, but sometimes going through a course and a curriculum, sometimes that's how I learn the best. So just if that's helpful for anyone, I definitely recommend going through some sort of coursework while you're building and learning. Then another point that he talked about was just you have to be thinking 10, 15 years out. Kind of like when there's flying cars, transporting molecules. How will we be solving these problems? So you can't just be thinking about yesterday's problems, right? You got to be thinking about what's in the future and what's going to be happening. So of course, we can't read the future. Tim Draper seems to be able to, so he probably can read the future, but most of us cannot. So we really have to be thinking and doing a lot of due diligence and research of what are we actually thinking about doing and what are we actually solving? Because especially for my startup, we have a whole 5, 10, 15, 20-year plan of what we want to do, but really practically speaking, you kind of have to be having that mindset of here's where we are right now, here's where we want to go in year 1, to year 5, but really in the future, what could this actually scale to? What is the growth, track? What is the trajectory that we're trying to attain? That's what investors are interested in, because, you could have a great idea, but does it have scale? Can it grow? Can it evolve? Can it become bigger than what you envision right now? That's something that investors can be really helpful with, of helping you, grow and evolve and build. So that's something that, of course, Tim has top of mind for him. Another idea that he had, or advice that he had, was just being great entrepreneurs. We want to make ourselves the best versions of ourselves, the best forms of the founders that we want to become. There's all these articles and there's all these, blog posts and, interviews and keynotes of, what makes a great founder. So when you think about being a great entrepreneur, really what Tim Draper was talking about was how you want to be that best version of yourself. So, even kind of, outside of those, keynotes and those videos, how are we making ourselves the best version of ourselves? And how are we evolving and how are we growing? Even from a tech side, this is something that I'm constantly building my skills and, my backgrounds in and my expertise in. But of course, you just have to be leveling up on the business side and the tech side, really all areas of your business. I've really been trying to be more healthy, doing with a daily exercise, kind of building out like a home gym, and then really eating healthy, kind of making my diet kind of is now like 75% vegan. Have this whole smoothie. I'll have to make another video about that at a later point. But just in terms of like health hacks, just making sure that I'm taking care of myself, because it's exhausting being a founder and it's exhausting building a business. So, you want to make sure that you are operating on all cylinders and having all the pistons firing. So that was a great advice about just being great entrepreneurs. And then he gave sort of a final note of just sometimes it takes persistence, and sometimes it just means just not giving up. And there's all these memes and cartoons and articles of just people that there's just like one that just sticks in my mind of and I'll try to post a video of this maybe, but it's like a gold miner and they're trying to mine for gold, and just as they're about to find the gold, they give up. But the person who just stayed in it, they were able to find the gold. So it's just maybe you just are one meeting away from making it happen for your startup, or maybe you're one meeting away from meeting that one person who can connect your business, connect the dots, and then really that's launching your venture. So there's a lot of different tactics and strategies for how to stay resilient and how to stay, ambitious and motivated and determined when you might be down. So kind of a lot of what I constantly think about is just, why are we doing this? Like, and kind of when I think about it, it's sort of like, if not me, who, right? If there's a lot of problems that are out there, we can use our skills and our abilities and our talents to make a difference in the world. And that's why I got into technology, because I could see how I could help and use my skills to now transform not just my life or my community around me, but now maybe globally or nationally. So that's really where I can see the power of technology playing a huge role in making people more efficient or safer or more protected, or just really any way, like making things just less time consuming, or making people not have to be bogged down in work, and then maybe they could focus on other areas or build a bigger team. So that's really where technology can really play a huge role in just making life better. And that's really where having that persistence of being motivated to make it happen, I know that that's really where that's important for any founder to keep top of mind. So those were the insights that Tim Draper had shared with just our cohort and on our call. And I'm still kind of just processing, just again being in the room with a billionaire. How many people get to say that happened? I mean, I'm still honored that I was even able to be included in such a meeting, especially with COVID and, even with doing it all remotely. I was grateful that we were even able to make that happen. And, him being in, just in Hawaii and everything, it was just amazing to really see how we could make, just a bunch of founders from a bunch of different areas of the world just be able to now meet in a single point with Zoom. So that was pretty cool. And yeah, I just was really interested in just those insights that he shared. And I hope that you got some value out of that, because I know I certainly did. And I'm using a lot of those insights right now with building up my company. So it was just amazing. And I'm still kind of processing, just a little kind of starstruck, because again, I've followed him since entering the blockchain space and really even getting involved in coding and software engineering. So I've just been a huge fan of his for so long. So being able to share something that I've spent so much time building and working on to now share with him, that was just a real honor and a privilege. So I'm just very grateful for the GSV Ventures team for being able to allow my company and so many amazing entrepreneurs to be a part of that call. And yeah, so that's just been a little bit of what I've been up to. I have a number of exciting updates coming up in the future, so stay tuned for more. And yeah, there's just been a lot of inner workings. I'm definitely going to drop also this in the description. I worked on a very, very cool tic-tac-toe serverless deployed demo that got actually quite a bit of buzz, and we're using technologies like AWS, serverless, Next.js, which is a React front-end language, and yeah, just a bunch of different technologies. So that was really cool to be able to work on that with some of my AWS community builder colleagues and really share how you can deploy, technology and use these different coding languages to build a game. So that was really fun. And I don't actually do much game development, so it's really fun to build that. So I'll definitely drop a link to that video below in case you want to check it out. And yeah, so that's been a little bit of what I've been up to, and looking forward to making more Tech Stack Playbook videos. So if you have any feedback or any ideas of what you want to see next, definitely message me on Instagram. Pretty easy to find. So Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, yeah, you probably know where to find me if you follow this channel. But let me know if there's something that you want me to cover, or you want to go on a video, or you want to talk about something. Just very interested in building this channel out and building this community. And I've had so many amazing conversations with folks really since starting this channel. So any ways that I can provide value to you, that's something that's top of mind for me. And really looking forward to seeing you all the next time. All right, take care, everyone, and I will see you on the next video. Bye.